What's up, guys and ghouls? Welcome back to Living Dead Garage, where we bring the dead back to life. Last episode, we got my 1956 Lincoln Capri running again after almost a decade. In this episode, we're going to haul it to my shop and start doing some much needed cleaning, brake work, engine work, and we're going to find out what other work we're going to need to do to this thing. So let's get this thing loaded up and back to the shop. All right, back at the shop here, got the Lincoln up in the air. We're pulling the wheels off, and first things first, we gotta assess what we're gonna need as far as brake parts so I can get those ordered, because that is gonna be the number one thing holding us back. So first things first, you gotta pull this dust cap off here. There is a spindle nut back there. Pull that off, pull the outer bearing out, and you can remove the drum after all that is off, and we can see we're probably going to need wheel cylinders. We're going to find out. You work these caps back and forth with the mallet. Sometimes they'll come off, sometimes they'll fight. Oh, there's some grease in there. We like to see that. Got yourself a cotter pin here, which just broke. We're gonna end up replacing these anyway. Set that aside. And this nut. Most of the time they're pretty much hand tight. You don't wanna ramrod them in there because then you'll ruin your bearings. You just want your preload on there. Get your nut off. Jostle that forward. Looks like we got barrel style roller bearings, not the ball bearings. We'll clean that up. Now, okay, not too bad. We got our rear inner bearing there. We'll pull that out in a second, but these drums aren't too bad. Definitely does look like there's evidence of the wheel cylinder leaking. There's like a bunch of sludge caked onto there, but other than that, it actually looks pretty darn good. Now to get this inner bearing off, you put this nut on, and then you can pull your drum forward, and that'll knock the seal and bearing off at the same time without damaging your seal. But I'm not gonna do that right now because we're just assessing what we need. I wanna be able to throw this back together and roll the car around the shop until parts show up. Oh yeah. Just like the Buick, these cylinders are shot, just full of rust and corrosion and sand. So I'm gonna measure these and get those ordered. It's always a good idea to measure these because sometimes there'll be different diameters and such. But it looks like we have brand new shoes. American Brake Lock Secondary. Yeah, there's a primary and a secondary pad. Secondary goes on the back. It's your big pad, your small pad in the front. Adjuster here is probably seized up. We'll adjust that once we get brake parts. But overall, it looks pretty good. And I can tell here somebody's replaced this brake line already, but the brake hose is not looking so good. So we're gonna replace that too. Cool. Ball joints, yep, sure. They're covered in grease. They must be good. Tie rods have seen better days. Anyway, we're just gonna throw this right back together for the time being and move on to inspecting other things like the rear brakes. All right, similar situation back here. This wheel cylinder was replaced at one point. It says made in USA, and I had my hopes up after I saw this. And then I saw, well, if I can, I saw that. She's blown out. Been that way for a while, but we got good pads. Those are fairly new. Hardware seems to be hard wearing. So yeah, wheel cylinders, rubber lines, steel lines are already done. And then master and brake booster, and we should have brakes.
Definitely a little more blew out than this one.
I also just noticed we probably got quite a bit of Bondo as suspected. It doesn't want to quite stick, but that's not Bondo. Bondo. As expected and as tradition, we got lots of rot. Crusty but trusty, hopefully. All right, we got the grill up in the air. First spot of rust is in the core support here. This is a common issue. One of the viewers commented that, so you were spot on. Suspension components, crusty, but there. Doesn't look like it has a massive oil leak. I mean, there's your typical sludge, but I've seen much, much worse. Sediment bowl still clean from when we ran it in the last video. Yep, The transmission, it has like a air-cooled, like finned torque converter, so it has these vents here, and you can tell it's absolutely plugged to the top with mouse house. So we're gonna have to clean that out before we run it any longer. A little bit of fluid leak in here. Nothing too bad. The Buick was actually worse. And you can see evidence of floor pad patches. Actually done not too bad. I'll accept it. New rockers have been melted in at some point. We have a huge access hole to where the rear armrest would be, and this is actually the window channel. You can see the bottom of the quarter glass right there. But the X-frame is still boxed in and solid. We still got underbody coating on some spots. It's not rotted here, but we have a bunch of stuff sitting in there we're gonna have to fish out, because that's gonna end up rotting this out over time. We have what looks like spring assist. I don't know if that's factory or not, and coil over shocks, which I'm not too surprised because this is a heavy car. And new brake lines, rubber hose needs to be replaced. We do have some frame damage right there. There's a crack there and there on the shock tower. We're gonna have to address that at some point. Also, the fuel tank straps are Living Dead Garage approved, 100%. Yep. That's gonna have to get dropped and cleaned anyway, so we'll do something a little bit better than house wire. We do have a receiver hitch, which I wouldn't really pull much with that, but it's there. The only other bad spot of rust in the frame is this channel here is rotted out, but this really isn't entirely structural except for impact zone for the rear bumper. This side's the same. Spare tire would still kind of hold a spare, so we'll call that a win. So yeah, this is why she's so loud. Exhaust is rotted off, and here. Overall, I'm pretty actually pleased as to what I'm seeing. Could have been a lot worse. Drive shaft seems tight. U-joints aren't obliterated, although they are very, very tiny for this car. We even have an parking brake. Wow. Probably never be using that. Yeah, first things first, gonna get the mouse house out of there. Looks like we got power steering leakage. And there's a brake union up in there. All new brake lines run into that, so that saves me a lot of swearing replacing those. All right, now that I've got a nice look underneath it, I have deemed, oh, I got spider webs in my head. I've deemed it good enough to put more time and money into, so we're gonna drop it down and we're gonna clean out the interior because it is absolutely disgusting. And you'll see, if you haven't watched the first video, I will suggest that, but we're gonna see right now. All right, well, here's the crime scene. There was a coon living under the driver's seat and he absolutely destroyed it, making his home. Door panel is off, sitting there. There's one in the trunk. Looks like we've got an air cleaner there, and the brake booster is hiding back there. And we have a treasure trove of parts in the trunk here. Oh, wipers!
And the mirrors.
Nice! Those wipers are, from what I hear, very rare. So that's really good news. There's the other door panel right there. We got the taillight lenses. I think one of them's slightly broken. That's fine. Yeah, we got kick panels, the power antenna.
She's broke.
Can you pick up any stations with that thing?
No.
Yeah, all kinds of chrome in here. Looks like we got a courtesy light for the pillar. Got a set of horns. The horns on it actually work. I'm thinking they've been replaced because they are louder than hell. We got a blower motor. Got the old brake shoes. Sun visors. Can't drive without those, right? Oh, and the battery cover. Nice. Looks like some interior sail panel chrome. Got the original jack. I can see the concrete from inside here. That's nice. I still can't believe how big this trunk is. You can fit.
Clean it out and see how big it is.
Yeah. We're gonna get all this junk out and assess what we got. Got the trunk cleaned out. That's much better. Still stinks, but we're gonna put some paint in there. That'll mask all that just fine. Jeff's already gotten a start on the inside here. Found this top door plate here with the courtesy light. I think we're missing the driver's side unless it's floating around in here somewhere. Yeah, it's missing. It's supposed to be on this end here. Shoot. No, I'm not going to be able to see shit. Oh yeah. We got one hubcap. Nice.
Oh, a little beat up too.
Yeah, well, I honestly prefer the black steelies for now. Maybe I'll change my mind later. Yeah, we're gonna rip these seats out, rinse and repeat, vacuum out this whole inside. All right, progress. As you can see, I got the rest of the interior ripped out, seats and all laying out here. Those are gonna have to get stripped and recovered. I also took the rear side panels off. And whoever patched the floors back in the day, they put down tar and tar paper as seam sealer, which isn't, you know, the worst thing I've seen anybody do, but I guess it's kind of waterproof. But this is a floor, not a roof, but whatever. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna brush on some of this Rust-Oleum. It's basically implement paint or tractor paint. Oil base, there'll be a nice thick layer to go over this, and then maybe we'll go through and do bed liner or something just to kind of seal everything up. Trunk cleaned up pretty good. I'll do the same back here, and then later on we'll license plate some of these holes. I just want to get a nice coat of sealer to kind of help with the smell and slow down this rust so that these floor pans can last another 70 years. I don't know, who knows. But yeah, I'm gonna find a paintbrush and we'll start brushing this on and let her cure overnight. And I think tomorrow we will come back out here and get this thing running again. I did invest in a coil and a bunch of other parts I have to put on it. I got a carb rebuild kit, all that. I got brake parts on the way. I don't think I showed you guys the engine in this video, but we did get this puppy running last episode. Accelerator pump is non-existent, so it kind of stumbles off idle. And obviously we have no brakes. But other than that, this thing runs like a freaking sewing machine. Transmission works. Check out episode 1 if you haven't. But we'll get back to that. Get this thing running again. Focus on the fuel system, and then once brake parts show up, we'll do brakes and throw a lawn chair in here and hopefully take this thing around the block. I am excited. But yeah, let's start getting some paint slapped in here. Well, I got passenger side done. Looks a lot better. Smells a lot better already. This Rust-Oleum stuff is pretty nice. It's not the highest quality product, but for what we're doing here, it'll work just fine. Just smear it on there, give her the old Slumlord special, paint over the outlets, dead bugs, the tenant that's still living there. $2,000 a month rent. Please and thank you. There you go. All painted, nice thick coat of Rust-Oleum. Looks and smells 10 times better. I also did the trunk too. Looks and smells good as well. I'll let that cure overnight. That Rust-Oleum is nice, but it goes on so thick that it takes forever to dry. Also, I don't think I mentioned, I did put new tires on with the fake white walls again. I wanted the 3-inch ones this time. I'll put a link in the description on Amazon where I get those. They're cheap and, you know, they don't always sit flat, but I mean, they're a lot cheaper than $300 per tire for actual white walls. And I had these 15s nearly brand new just sitting around, so why not throw them on? Also, comment down below. You guys are interested in any merch? Probably going to start our own little merch store. T-shirts, hats, stickers, stuff like that. Keep an eye out for that. I'll probably be working on that here soon since I'm starting to gain a good amount of subscribers, and I really appreciate all of you who subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's free and it helps us out, helps us keep the lights on here, keep projects like this moving, and get good content out for you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll start working on this engine. Back on the Lincoln today. First things first, we got to get this thing up in the air and clean out that bell housing, which is full of mouse house. Last episode, we got this thing running, and it's just been a blender of mouse house and trans fluid and oil, spider eggs, who knows. But I showed you earlier in the video, the vents on that bell housing are all jammed up, and before I crank on it anymore and make more of a mess, I want to get that cleaned out. Let's get this thing up in the air, see what we're getting into. As an introduction here, what we got here is a 368 cubic inch Lincoln Y block. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the big block of the Y block family, because they had like the 280 something and the 312 cubic inch, all that stuff were more common in the Fords. Again, comment down below, educate me. This is all new and foreign to me. Learning as I go. But from factory, these pushed a whopping 285 horsepower in 1956. That was some big power. But, I mean, you got a 19-foot wide, long, I should say, car, land yacht, full of steel. You know, you needed that power to move this puppy down the road. That's all I really know about it. It runs. Let's get that bell housing cleaned out. All right, got her up in the air here. What we got here is a 3-speed turbo drive automatic transmission made by Ford. That's all I know about it. Looks like we got a few 13 mil or 1/2 inch bolts here. Get this inspection cover off. And again, that's the mess we're after. We're gonna have to evict some mice. Let's get our hands dirty. Zip these off. Okay, at least it wasn't on very tight. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. Most of it is caught in the screen here. So it's kind of doing its job. All right. Now I gotta get this goddammit off. Looks like we got 10 millimeter. Little trick with these ratchets, if you don't have enough torque, you get a running start and then jam the socket onto it and it'll break it free like an impact. Well, there we go. Cleaned up pretty darn good. We even have some factory paint still left on some of this. As you can see, both intake and exhaust vents are completely clean, all bolted back up. Now, we can drop this thing down and start working on getting the engine running. Now, if you guys watched the first episode, we had to borrow my coil off of the 55 Buick. Well, of course, I needed to take it back off to make it back home, but I went ahead and picked up a brand new coil here. I'm going to slap this puppy on. I am still waiting on a coil power wire resistor. If you don't have one of those in line, you will absolutely cook your coil if you leave it on too long. And these are filled with oil, so that's going to be major fire hazard. So if you're ever working with these old school coils without a resistor in line and you're in between working on it, don't leave your key on or take the power off of it when you're not working on it. When we were first trying to get this thing started in the first episode, the coil was dang near boiling hot because I had left the wire on like an idiot. So don't do that. I'm gonna get this thing temporarily wired in and then hook up a temporary fuel source and see if we can't get this thing to crank over. We were having troubles getting the key to crank. It would kind of crank when it wanted to. I'm assuming there's a bad connection somewhere. If not, I did get a new tumbler. We'll see. But yeah, let's throw this thing on, see what we can get going here. All right, I had to do some digging around, but I did find what I believe to be the ignition wire to the coil. Now I have a lead hooked up to it, and if I hook myself up to ground here, we have 12 volt power, which is great. So I'll temporarily wire in our coil and then we can move on to a temporary fuel system. All right, I have some jumper wires to my little starter switch down to the starter solenoid, rather. I wanted to say relay, but that's not correct. So Cranking over slow, but should be good enough to start. Let's get a fuel system hooked up. There you go, I got our fuel system. Got our line already plumbed up from last time, so that's good. All we gotta do is hook up our power lead to the coil, and then great. I'll have to go get the jump pack. Oh, I think I left it in here last time. Oh yeah, there we go. Well, if you haven't noticed, this ain't your standard jump pack. We got ourselves here a human jump pack. I actually pulled this out of a dumpster a couple years ago when we were doing a floor remodel on a pain clinic, but I mean, it should still do the same thing, right? All right, we're gonna crank this puppy to all of it. Everybody stand back, I'm a professional. Clear! All jokes aside, if you guys don't want to be like me and get electrocuted using some rinky-dink jump pack, do like I did and get yourself an Auxito jump pack. My friends over at Auxito.com sent me this T5 jump pack here, and I'm going to give you an honest review on how it works. Now, this jump starter is not only a jump starter, it is also a power bank, and it has an LED light on it. Let's get this thing unpackaged and I'll show you what I mean. Inside the box, you got a really nice to-go case, nice and sturdy. It's got a go handle, zips up, and inside you got your, of course, jump pack module. It's a nice hefty unit. Seems pretty robust. And also, it comes with your jumper dongles. Those plug right into your jump pack here. Boom, you're ready to go. And among that, got yourself a nice light. Put her in flash mode if you're broke down on the side of the road, and SOS mode. It's pretty handy. You also have 2 USB ports and a DC port and a Type-C port. You can pretty much run almost anything off of this. Phones, laptops, cameras, tire inflators, fans, you name it. It is great for taking along camping, road trips, just something to have in your car at all times. You never know what happens. You get a flat tire in the middle of the night, you can't see nothing. Go in your glove box and grab this bad boy. This thing features 9,500 watts of power, which is pretty remarkable for its size. And it's actually not too terribly heavy, which is nice. It's got a really nice LCD screen, tells you your battery life percentage. And basically all you do is hook it up to your battery and you hit the start button, and it's gonna flash ready until you have your battery hooked up. And once it's solid green, you'll know you're ready to go. It also has a few surge protection modes in case you're an idiot like me and you hook your wires up backwards and you don't start a fire. So that's really handy. Basically a foolproof jump pack. Let's hook this thing up and give it a try. Flip your accessory door open here. Plug in your jump cables. Simple as that. And then you're gonna hook positive to positive, negative to negative, power on, hit the start button. You can hear it click on, and we're already charging the battery, ready for a jump start. That's pretty nifty. You can actively monitor your battery power on the spot. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my starter trigger wire. Oh wow. She is spinning like never before. Awesome. When you're done, you just simply hit the start button again to disengage the start feature. And then the LCD screen will automatically shut off when it's not being used. All right, now that we got our Auxito jump pack hooked up, put a little gas down the old teapot carburetor here. And she should bark off. Oh, we got something. Hey. Yes. Auxito. Big thank you to my friends at Auxito for sending me this nice stout jump pack here. If you guys want to get one for yourself, I got a link in the description. Go to auxito.com and use code LDG. You can get a nice 15% off of this really nice jump pack. I'm actually very impressed with it. It's pretty stout, sturdy. I could probably toss this across the shop right now and it'll be just fine. I'm not going to do it though because I like it too much. But like I said, go to auxito.com, get yourself one of these. It's good to have in your car for emergencies, long trips, or if you're a content creator like myself, having the feature to charge your cameras and phones is a really nice thing to have, especially when you're out on the road and don't have a power source to charge your camera. So once again, go to auxito.com, code LDG, get yourself one of these nice units. It'll support the channel. Let's get back to this Lincoln. Another important thing I should mention, before you use this thing at all, you must fully charge it out of the box. Don't just take it out of the box and throw it on something and try and charge it. Any jump pack you get, you could damage it doing it that way, so just make sure you bring it up to a full charge. And they recommend charging it every 3 months if you let it sit in your car all the time. Every 3 months, pull it out, charge it. Last thing you want to do is end up needing it and then it's dead and you're on the side of the road with no power. Well, good morning. It has been a few days. Last clip you saw me get this thing running again. Carburetor does need some rebuild and I do have a kit for it, but I'm not worried about that right now. Our biggest hurdle is going to be brakes. Mainly the brake master and booster. I have new wheel cylinders and hoses, which are pretty straightforward, but this brake master and booster is going to be a bit of a challenge because I've never messed with one before, especially a 70-year-old one. So with that being said, let's just dive right into this thing and see what we're getting into. So here we have a Bendix treadleback, treadleback booster and master. It's a single pot death. Line's been cut here. We got our brake switch here. The inside of this is full of a bunch of like corroded jelly. I've seen this one other time in a motorcycle master that it's actually Jeff's bike. He's got a 79 Honda Matic and his master cylinder looked just like that, and surprisingly he was able to rebuild it. So I'm hoping we have the same situation here. Here you got your vacuum intake. It goes to here, loops around, and then there's a poppet valve in here. When you push your brakes pedal in, it activates your vacuum and this whole piston here goes in. I'm going to do my best to try and explain what exactly is going on here, because I honestly have no idea how these work, but the gist of it is this whole piston slides in and out, and then there's a rubber seal around the edge here, and as you can see there's a bunch of rust piled up in here, so we're gonna have to do some major cleaning here. But like I said, I'll do my best to try and show you guys how this comes apart, but it looks pretty intimidating. There's a lot going on in there. There's some videos on YouTube on how to rebuild these. So if I can explain enough to you, I'll include the footage. If not, I'll just do a time lapse and you guys can find the videos for yourselves and somebody else can better explain how these are rebuilt and such. All right, so the first steps You got your air cleaner here. That's what takes air into the booster system, this screw. And then the vacuum fitting here, there's 2 flathead screws. Take those 2 off and this unit should spring right out of here. There is a spring behind here, so just be careful it doesn't shoot out and take your face off. There's our old school horsehair filter. We're going to go ahead and hang on to that because good luck finding replacements for that. Set that off to the side. Our vacuum port. So far none of this stuff is rusted tight, which is good because good luck finding parts for these. Now you can get these as a whole replacement unit, but I mean you're talking like $600-700, and I'll spend that if I have to, but I'd rather not. Okay, now that's loose. Take your hose off, which we might want to replace that. It's pretty like sticky and weak. Get that out of our way. See if we can't get this SOB out of here. Well, there's another seal. That's not really sealing anymore. Oh, look at that. We got movement. See that? It moves in and out. It's somewhat sealing. It's pushing air. I'm going to clean all this gunk out of here. Hopefully this thing should slide right out. Alright, I had to switch up here. I ended up getting this seal out. I'm not seeing a new seal in this kit, which is a little upsetting because this was an $80 kit and it doesn't even come with every new seal that you need. So what the hell? So I'm gonna have to be very careful and clean this up. It seemed to be sealing, as you could see when I was doing that. But this is supposed to pop out and it's not. It seems like it's connected in here. So I got this cover off. Luckily I was able to get all these flathead screws out of the aluminum cast. But I gotta get all this jelly substance out of here, and then there's some parts in here I gotta disassemble, and I believe this will pop out afterwards. I don't know, we'll see. And next step here, I gotta get this little goddammit out of here. It's a 30mm socket, and it's some sort of valve that you probably don't want to drop. Hopefully we got new seals for that, because she ain't looking too hot. No, we can see what's going on in there. Hopefully this will come out now. Alright, I got her out. I actually had to use the big channel locks here and just use a little bit of force. Pulled right out of there. Not the worst, I guess. Now we can get our clip off of here. All this should come out, and then we can get to our 10mm bolts back there, and then our master can come off and we can rebuild that and then reassemble. It's kind of hard to do on camera here, but you basically push some tension on this plate here. This little C-clip hooks onto that little indent there, and she'll pop out. Just be careful, don't take your face off. Now we can get out our 3 master cylinder bolts and rebuild that. There, we got our master out. Now we can move our gasket here, and there should be a clip. We could pull this piston out and replace the seals. Got our old rubber seal there. Looks like we got a new one in the kit, so that's good. Set that aside. Now, this seal should pop out, I think. Oh, yeah, with these, you gotta drill a little hole in the case of the seal here, run a screw in it, and then you can pop it out. So let me find a drill bit and a screw. Got our hole. Get our screw started. There, we got that screw in there. Our big boy pliers. Oh, oh, there we go. Perfect. Make sure what we have here, another seal. Oh no, a C-clip. Get this cleaned up here and we can actually see it. Number one rule, well, rebuilding brake masters, or any brakes rather, always get brake fluid in your eyes. Even if you don't want to, it's gonna happen. At least with me. You know, you get brake fluid in your eyes so many times, kind of just get used to it. I mean, it only hurts when you see, right? All right, now you can see there's a little C-clip in there. Snap that guy out of there and this should come out. Got my C-clip pliers here. Snap ring clip pliers, rather. Oh, more brake fluid in the eye. Perfect. Sometimes these can be stubborn, especially when they've been in there for 70 years. One side wants to pop out and the other does not. There we go. That didn't go flying across the shop, so I did something right, maybe. Got a washer. And our seals. Ooh. That bore. I've seen toilet plumbing that look better than that. See if we can get that cleaned up. I don't. Oh yeah, okay, so this is our plunger seal, piston seal. That's what pushes your brake fluid into your lines and to your brakes. So that'll get replaced and then we should be good to go. But I'm going to do some major cleaning on this and then we'll be back for reassembly. Alright, I got our stuff all cleaned up here. One thing I am noticing that might shut us down is that pit right there. Right there. That might shut us down. That's kind of like right in the realm of where the seal sits. So, I mean, other than that, everything looks to be okay. All that cleaned up pretty well, a little corrosion, but not the worst. Our booster cylinder seems to be mostly okay, except for on the bottom edge there, but that's not too detrimental, I don't believe. But well, I guess best thing we can do is just slap it together and see what it does. One thing I did forget to do was take the residual check valve off. Is an 1.1 inch. It's still hot. Socket to get that off. I had to heat it up and really crank on it. I thought I was going to break it, but there's a check valve in there that we got to get out. And yeah, it's a good thing we didn't forget, because this seal is absolutely junk. The seal, little like traffic cone type thing, and your spring. Oh, a bunch of garbage in there too. Okay, after a little confusion here, these instructions are, typically pretty hard to see and understand. But this little triangle traffic cone looking seal that came out of here, I believe gets replaced with this unit that came with the kit. From my understanding, it really doesn't specify, but spring goes in first. And that seal goes on top of that. And then that will go on there. But before that, I'm going to coat everything in brake fluid. Get yourself a cap full of brake fluid. Set that over there where I can spill it all over the floor later. Dip our finger in here and coat the seal in brake fluid. This rubber seal on here is also in the kit. So we're going to go ahead and replace that right away too. The seal actually seems okay, but we're in it, we might as well replace it. Now, screw that back together. Snug it down with our 1.1 inch socket. Jeez. There, that's snugged. Our seal is in there nice. It's not all swollen and damaged like our old one. Now we can move on to the piston slide, which I have to go ahead and clean this up. So I'll get this cleaned up, get the new seal on, and we'll start assembling that. All right, I got our piston slide all cleaned up. Well, I did. Now it's dirty. I'll lube her up with some brake fluid, as well as our seal. You don't want to install this stuff dry, because it could damage things on initial bleeding and break-in and all that good stuff. There. That should be a lot better than our old Looks like a toilet bowl ring. But then we got this little plastic guy that'll go on. Goes on there. Perfect. Rebuilt. All right, I'll lube up our piston cylinder. Dump a little in there. Can't quite reach in there with my finger. Shake it around a little bit so we can get full coverage in there. All right, after a little bit of fighting, that fiber washer goes in, then your metal washer, and then your snap ring goes back in. After you drop the tool on the floor, that's how we calibrate it around here. Make sure that's set in there good. Then, we're going to replace the seal that we pulled out. This is called a leather seal. And you're going to want the lettering facing out. And you're going to obviously lube it up. Don't want to tear that nice leather seal there. That in, and then got the new rubber seal here. And then as well as throw your light on the floor because it's dead. Your cork seal. And then we can affix it to the booster tube. You're going to want to take note on the orientation. Your breather, air cleaner is going to be up top, and your vacuum inlet is going to be on the side. So you're going to want your master cylinder clocked accordingly, or else you'll be taking this all back apart again. All right, next we got to, what valve is this here? So this is the compensating valve. It's got a little poppet valve in there. There's a little clip right here. It's kind of a C-clip. Spring comes off. This valve comes out. Put the new one in. Pretty straightforward. Oh, let's see if I can do this without flinging it across the shop. There we go. There's our little C-clip. Spring. And our poppet valve. Which doesn't look the worst, but we're going to replace it anyway since we're in here. And of course, I gotta clean all this stuff up. And we'll throw this guy back together. All right, got her all cleaned up here. I'm gonna take our new poppet valve, lubricate. Goes in from the bottom. Spring goes in here. Hold that in with my thumb. Come on. This thing is just waiting to fly across the shop and be lost forever. Okay, our clip is on. I'm going to give her a little pinch. So she stays. There we go. Got our new poppet valve. Or compensating valve is rebuilt. Don't know what it does, but it's going to do it the thing now. And we also have a new seal for this. It is a square seal, so you're going to want to make sure it's nice and seated and flat, or it will not seal. Compensating valve. Don't know what it's compensating for, but we'll find out. And then this goes in here. There. Now, we can put, all right, now we can put our spring and retainer on with our C-clip. Basically, you just stick her in here, push down, take your C-clip, and that locks in right there. Now, our piston does the piston thing. Now, onto the booster piston. This thing is very dirty. Unfortunately, the kit I got did not come with the rebuild it did not come with the seals to rebuild the piston and everything, so I'm gonna have to do my best just to clean this up and salvage. This rubber seal here was sealing. Before I ripped all that apart, it was doing the hydraulic or vacuum thing, so I know there's a valve, poppet valve in here that needs to be addressed. It's all dirty in there, obviously, everywhere, so I'm going to do my best to clean all this up, and then we'll throw the rest of it back together. Alright, I did my best to rebuild this. There were some poppet seal or poppet valve seals in here that were not really doing much, so I replaced them with some seals I had laying around. I don't know if it's going to work, but at the very least, hopefully our master works so we can at least have some brakes. Well, this just goes back in there, and they say you got to lube it up with some air tool lubrication on the seal, and as well as the booster drum, just so we get a nice air seal around it. My rebuild kit did not come with anything to rebuild the booster, which I thought it did. It said master rebuild kit. Well, must have meant master cylinder rebuild kit, so that was my fault there. So we're just gonna hope for the best here. Get a bunch of this in there and wipe it around with my hand. Oh, which way was this clocked now? Don't remember. I'll have to look back at the footage. Oh, it's returning on its own. Oh, we'll see, I guess. Just gonna add some more. Just to make me feel a little better about myself, I guess. Alright. Well, next we gotta put our valves on and our air cleaner, and this is good to go back in the car. Alright, now that we got our brake system rebuilt, hopefully good enough, we are missing our brake pedal push rod. So I thought, why not a small block Chevy push rod from a small block Chevy engine? It fits right in there and it engages with the pedal, and according to my measurements, we need about, from this surface to the end of this push rod, we need about 1.5 inches. Well, this push rod comes out to about 1 7/8 inches. So if we cut this little ball off, I think we're gonna be in business. So that'll fit right in there and do brake things, hopefully. So we're gonna chop this down and get that puppy mounted up. All right, we got her in, and our little idea with the small block Chevy push rod actually works. Seems to work pretty good. Obviously, we don't have our system bled yet, so the pedal will return quicker in theory. So now that that's done, our next hurdle is going to be making that new line down to the T, and then wheel cylinders. And then hopefully test drive. I don't have much faith in the booster rebuild because we didn't really rebuild it, we just kind of cleaned it. But the Master I think should be okay because I had all the seals for that, so we will see. All right, we did not record doing the wheel cylinders because I mean it's pretty straightforward. If you want to know how to do them, check out our video on the 55 Buick Special. I did a walkthrough on that, pretty simple. But we got our Master plumbed in. I had to put a splice in a new line. It's not really ideal, but to get to that T down there is almost impossible. So that was my easiest route right there. But we just got done bleeding the brakes, and I am pleased to announce that we have all the pedal. I mean, I could not ask for anything better than that. Don't know if the booster works yet, but honestly, I don't really care. I call that a major victory. I did not have much hopes for this Master coming back around, but it did. Good job, guy. And a good job to me for rebuilding it. We have to put a vacuum line from there to there, and then cap that one off, and we should have vacuum boost brakes. We can throw the wheels on this and hopefully take it for a spin around the block. That would be awesome. And then we're gonna have some cocktails about it. All right, I've been doing some stuff off camera here. I got our brake booster vacuum line hooked up. I also fastened my coil down, and I put a resistor in line to the power so it doesn't, you know, explode. I stole this off of a Pontiac 350 that I got sitting over there from 71 Pontiac Le Mans that I did a video on a while ago. You guys could check that out too. So yeah, it really pays to hang on to stuff like that because you can, you know, this is a Lincoln Ford product and that's a Pontiac part and it still works. Why not? Anyway, I wanted to show you guys how our vacuum brakes turned out. Okay. I got our starter switch routed through the floor, so now I can just hit the key. Oh, and look at that, the pedal sucked right to the floor. So the brakes are being powered by the engine vacuum right now. So if I put this in reverse, yeah, the brakes are just grabbing. But if I turn the car off, it lets go, which is telling me that the booster is not okay. There was a check valve inside when I tried rebuilding it, and it had really bad rubber gaskets on it, and they pretty much fell apart in my hands. So I looked around for some little rubber O-rings that I had laying around. I thought they would work. Obviously not the case, because as soon as you introduce vacuum to the system, you got all the brakes, and that ain't gonna fly. So unfortunately, when I ordered my Master rebuild kit, I ordered it for the Master cylinder only and not the booster itself. So I've been trying to hunt down a kit for the booster alone, but I can only find the Master and booster combo kit, and I mean that's like $160 is the cheapest one I can find, and I only need half of it. So if anybody knows where I can get just the booster rebuild kit, let me know in the comments. That would be great, because it would be nice to have booster brakes. Not that I need them, but it would be nice to have them working, because obviously they will work if all the seals were good. So yeah, if you know of a place that has just the kit for the booster, let me know. I would appreciate that. But we're almost ready just to take this thing around the block. All right, I am currently sitting on a pail and I got a fire extinguisher. I don't want to end up like Jesse from Atomic Air and Motors. He almost burnt his one of his cars down on a road trip. So luckily we have a manual choke that runs into the cab here. Because we have no accelerator pump, it wants a lot of choke. Otherwise, when I put it in gear, it just about dies. So what I'm going to do is attempt to back it out into the driveway, give the brakes a few test grabs, and then if it seems okay, I'm just going to go up and down the road and right back. Oh, this is exciting. Key on. Little choke. That seems about right. All right, let's try reverse. Good reverse, we're moving. Easy now. Oh, she wants to go, she's revving high. Oh, the brakes. They're there. They're all the way there. My goodness. Uh-oh. We're not going to make this Y turn. This car is so long. I actually measured it. This car is 19 feet long, bumper to bumper. That's as long as my work van. That's a Chevy Express 2500. Oh my God, I almost kissed the damn steering wheel. Jesus. Here we go. Second gear. Carb is not happy, that's for sure. But she's still running. Just gonna spin around here at the town hall, or the village office. We're actually doing it! The 70-year-old brake master cylinder is working. Oh, I better get home. Oh, revving a little high. Might have lost the vacuum cap. Oh, too much choke. Oh, she's idling way high. Look at that. She is a beaut. Looks really nice up against the 55. Oh. Brakes work amazingly. Well, guys and ghouls, I call that a huge success. It has amazing brakes, even without the booster working, which I'll drive it around like that all I want. I don't care what. I still would like to get the booster fixed. My wife would like to drive this one day, and you know, she's not as strong-footed as I am, so we don't need her getting in an accident because of that. I think we're gonna wrap the video up here. Big thank you to my buddies at Auxito.com for sending me out that jump pack. It really saved my butt there. You remember, use discount code LDG, you can get 15% off that T5 jump pack from them. Also, you can check out a bunch of their other products. They specialize in LED lighting, tire inflators, of course, jump packs, and a lot more stuff to come, I'm sure. If you're enjoying my content and you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you do that? It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. It helps us out, helps me keep the lights on in the shop, parts rolling in, all kinds of stuff. Also hit that hype button, that helps me out too. Being a small channel, we could really use that. And keep an eye out for the merch store. We're gonna start rolling out some merch here pretty soon. I got some ideas on some merch that'll be coming soon. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this car. Any tips and tricks, especially places to get parts. If you know any scrap yards that have a lot of these laying around. I am looking for a hood emblem. I'm missing a bunch of trim on the front, the sides, you name it. Stick around for the next episode. We're gonna be tackling the fuel system, the brake booster, of course, interior. And with that being said, I really appreciate you guys watching. This is Living Dead Garage, and we will see you in the next one.